Today we're continuing to read The Brothers Karamazov. Father Zosima sat down on a very old-fashioned mahogany sofa covered with leather and made his visitors sit down in a row along the opposite wall on 4 mahogany chairs covered with shabby black leather. The monks sat, one at the door and the other at the window. The divinity student, the novice, and Alyosha remained standing. The cell was not very large and had a faded look. It contained nothing but the most necessary furniture, of course, in poor quality. There were 2 pots of flowers in the window, and a number of holy pictures in the corner. Before one huge ancient icon of the Virgin, a lamp was burning. Near it were 2 other holy pictures in shining settings, and next to them carved cherubims, china eggs, a Catholic cross of ivory with a Mater Dolorosa embracing it, and several foreign engravings from the great Italian artists of past centuries. Next to these costly and artistic engravings were several of the roughest Russian prints of saints and martyrs, such as are sold for a few farthings at all the fairs. On the other walls were portraits of Russian bishops, past and present. Miusov took a cursory glance at all these conventional surroundings and bent an intent look upon the elder. He had a high opinion of his own insight, a weakness excusable in him as he was 50, an age at which a clever man of the world of established position can hardly help taking himself rather seriously. At the first moment, he did not like Zosima. There was indeed something in the elder's face which many people, besides Miusov, might not have liked. He was a short, bent little man, with very weak legs, and though he was only 65, he looked at least 10 years older. His face was very thin and covered with a network of fine wrinkles, particularly numerous about his eyes, which were small, light-colored, quick, and shining like 2 bright points. He had a sprinkling of gray hair about his temples. His pointed beard was small and scanty, and his lips, which smiled frequently, were as thin as 2 threads. His nose was not long, but sharp, like a bird's beak. To all appearances a malicious soul, full of petty pride, thought Miusov. He felt altogether dissatisfied with his position. A cheap little clock on the wall struck 12 hurriedly and served to begin the conversation. "Precisely to our time," cried Fyodor Pavlovitch, "but no sign of my son Dmitri. I apologize for him, sacred elder." Alyosha shuddered all over at sacred elder. "I am always punctual myself, minute for minute, remembering that punctuality is the courtesy of kings." "But you are not a king anyway," Miusov muttered, losing his self-restraint at once. "Yes, that's true, I'm not a king, and would you believe it, Pyotr Alexandrovitch, I was aware of that myself. But there, I always say the wrong thing, your reverence," he cried with sudden pathos. "You behold before you a buffoon in earnest. I introduce myself as such. It's an old habit, alas. And if I sometimes talk nonsense out of place, it's with the object of amusing people and making myself agreeable. One must be agreeable, mustn't one? I was 7 years ago in a little town where I had business, and I made friends with some merchants there. We went to the captain of police because we had to see him about something and to ask him to dine with us. He was a tall, fat, fair, sulky man, the most dangerous type in such cases. It's their liver. I went straight up to him and, with the ease of a man of the world, you know, 'Mr. Ispravnik,' said I. 'Be our Napravnik.' 'What do you mean by Napravnik?' said he. I saw at the first half second that it had missed fire. He stood there so glum. I wanted to make a joke, said I, for the general diversion, as Mr. Napravnik is our well-known Russian orchestra conductor, and what we need for the harmony of our undertaking is someone of that sort. And I explained my comparison very reasonably, didn't I? Excuse me, said he, I am an ispravnik, and I do not allow puns to be made on my calling. He turned and walked away. I followed him, shouting, yes, yes, you're an ispravnik, not an napravnik. No, he said, since you called me an napravnik, I am one. And would you believe it? It ruined our business. And I'm always like that, always like that, always injuring myself with my politeness. Once, many years ago, I said to an influential person, your wife is a ticklish lady, in an honorable sense, of the moral qualities, so to speak. But he asked me, why, have you tickled her? I thought I'd be polite, so I couldn't help saying yes. And he gave me a fine tickling on the spot. Only that happened long ago, so I'm not ashamed to tell the story. I am always injuring myself like that. And that's the end of the reading for today. Have a good day.